Chapter 31, The Gathering Storm. The world seemed to hold its breath. After the chaotic duels and heavenly trials, the protagonist finally found a rare moment of calm. Seated beneath an ancient pine tree, his body still glowed faintly from the scars of tribulation lightning. His chi rivers churned within, turbulent yet brimming with new strength. Each breath he drew pulled in strands of spiritual energy that danced like fireflies around him. But peace in the cultivation world never lasted. New moon, the rumor of the blood moon sect. From distant valleys, whispers reached every sect. The blood moon sect has resurfaced. This forbidden sect had been annihilated centuries ago, or so history claimed. They practiced cruel blood arts, devouring life essence to fuel their growth. Yet survivors seemed to have hidden, waiting for the right time. Now, their banners had appeared once again under a crimson moon. For the protagonist, this was no simple rumor. His master's last words before vanishing had warned. Beware the crimson shadow, for it seeks your destiny. Cross the gathering of geniuses. Not just he, but cultivators from countless sects were summoned to the celestial martial arena, a colossal battlefield carved into a mountain range. This was no friendly gathering, this was a declaration. Each sect would send its brightest disciples to show dominance, form alliances, and test strength before the looming war against the Blood Moon sect. The protagonist arrived at the arena. Towering stone pillars etched with ancient runes crackled with power, sealing the ground in protective formations. Thousands of cultivators filled the seats carved into the cliffs, while at the center stood a vast platform shimmering with divine inscriptions. One after another, geniuses introduced themselves. The spear saint's disciple, his weapon humming with a will of its own. The lotus fairy, whose mere gaze seemed to calm storms. The beast king's heir, with fangs glinting and a monstrous aura spilling from his skin. Each was destined to shake the future, and yet all eyes kept shifting back to one person, the protagonist, the unknown genius who had risen from obscurity. High voltage, the first challenge. Step forward, declared an elder, his voice booming like thunder. Let the trials begin. Only those who prove their strength are worthy to stand against the storm to come. The first challenger strode forth, Yun Hao, a proud genius from the Azure Blade sect. His sword chi was sharp enough to cut air, each step echoing with killing intent. He sneered, "You, nameless brat, fight me." The arena fell silent. The protagonist rose slowly, his robes fluttering as if stirred by an unseen wind. His eyes carried no arrogance, only calm resolve. When the two stepped into the ring, a bell chimed, and in that instant the duel began. Milky Way the clash. Yun Hao's blade shot forward like a dragon, unleashing waves of sword chi. The protagonist's palm flickered with lightning chi, crackling arcs dancing across his skin. Clang, the first exchange shook the arena. Stone tiles shattered, and even protective runes dimmed under the force. Yun Hao pressed forward, his sword dancing with dozens of shadows. Yet each strike was intercepted, redirected, or shattered. The protagonist's movements were fluid, his energy surging like a thunderstorm ready to break. Finally, with a calm breath, he whispered. Thunder collapsed palm. Lightning roared. A blinding strike descended, smashing Yun Hao backward, his sword cracking in half. Gasps filled the arena. The unknown youth had defeated a famed genius in just a handful of moves. Shooting star foreshadowing. But as silence reigned, a strange presence stirred in the shadows of the arena. A cloaked figure with crimson eyes watched intently. The air around him pulsed with sinister energy. The Blood Moon sect had already infiltrated the gathering. The storm was not approaching. It had already arrived. High voltage, end of chapter 31. The gathering storm, high voltage. High voltage, chapter 32. Blood Moon descends. The echo of the battle still trembled through the celestial martial arena. Dust swirled in the shattered air. Yun Hao lay motionless on the ground, his broken sword glinting under the afternoon light like a fallen star. But the victor, our protagonist, stood silent, his robes fluttering softly, eyes fixed not on the defeated genius, but on the shadows beyond the arena walls. He felt it, a faint, sinister pulse of energy, like a whisper calling from the depths of the abyss. The Blood Moon sect had arrived. New moon, the arrival of crimson shadows. From the edge of the horizon, clouds began to churn unnaturally. The sun dimmed as if devoured by darkness. A blood-red glow slowly spread across the sky. Whispers spread like wildfire through the audience. What's happening? The blood moon, it can't be real. This aura, it's pure demonic chi. Suddenly, laughter echoed across the arena, low, distorted, dripping with malice. From the clouds descended a group, cloaked in black, crimson sigils pulsing faintly on their robes. Their leader, tall and lean, wore a mask carved with runes that seemed to bleed. His voice was calm, but every word made the hearts of cultivators tremble. Greetings, righteous cultivators. We merely came to witness your strength before the cleansing begins. Cross the elders stand. The elder who oversaw the tournament, Elder Tiangshuan, stepped forward. His aura erupted like a mountain, sturdy, immovable. You dare desecrate this sacred arena? Begone, or I shall send you to the heavens myself. The masked figure tilted his head slightly, unamused. Old relics should not speak so loudly. He raised a hand, and a beam of crimson lightning shot forth. Elder Tiangshuan parried, but the force sent cracks through the arena floor. Blood trickled from his lips. Around him, protective arrays began to shatter. The crowd panicked. Cultivators scrambled to protect weaker disciples. And in the chaos, the protagonist's eyes narrowed. That crimson lightning felt familiar. The energy signature pulsed in resonance with his own thunder soul core, but twisted, corrupted. Could it be that the Blood Moon sect's power originated from the same ancient lineage as his own? High voltage, the decision. While others fled or fought, he stepped forward. Wait, he said quietly. The masked man turned toward him, amused. Ah, the young hero who humiliated the Azure Blade brat. I watched your little performance. The protagonist's eyes glowed faintly with lightning chi. What do you want here? The masked man chuckled. You ask as if you are not part of it. Tell me. Child of Thunder, have you ever wondered why lightning answers your calls so easily? Why your tribulations grow fiercer each breakthrough? The air froze. The man continued, voice dripping with revelation. Because your blood carries the mark of the primordial storm god, the same bloodline our sect once served. Gasps filled the air. The protagonist's mind reeled. That name, primordial storm god, was one spoken only in ancient myths, a being said to have torn apart heavens themselves. Cloud, the battle of light and blood. Without another word, the masked man extended his hand, and from his palm emerged a blood lightning spear, crackling with crimson arcs. The protagonist answered with his own, thunderstorm fist, his energy roaring outward like a raging tempest. The sky split open. Red lightning clashed with white-blue thunder, exploding into a maelstrom that shook the entire arena. Spectators shielded their eyes. Some fainted from the sheer pressure. The ground cratered under their feet as both figures exchanged blows faster than sight could follow. Each strike carried a storm's weight. Each movement left trails of energy that burned through the air. Finally, both leapt back, energy surging wildly between them. The masked man smiled under his bleeding runes. Impressive, you truly are the heir. Soon, you will have no choice but to join us. Before the protagonist could respond, the man vanished in a swirl of crimson mist. The blood-red sky faded. Silence followed. Aftermath. Elder Tiangshuan fell to one knee, exhausted but alive. The disciples began tending to the wounded. The arena lay in ruins, its inscriptions flickering weakly. But the protagonist remained still. The Blood Moon sect knew him. They called him heir, and they used the same power that flowed within his veins. He clenched his fists, sparks flashing between his fingers. The storm within him had never been louder. Cloud-ending scene. Night descended. In the distance, under the dim moonlight, the protagonist stood alone on a cliff overlooking the shattered arena. His eyes reflected both fear and resolve. "If my blood carries that curse," he murmured, "then I'll master it, not be consumed by it." Lightning struck the mountains in response, illuminating his silhouette. A storm reborn. High voltage. End of chapter 32. Blood moon descends high voltage. High voltage. Chapter 33. The air of thunder awakens. The night stretched endlessly over the shattered peaks. Clouds rolled like wounded beasts, and the air still carried traces of burnt chi from the battle that had torn the heavens apart. Beneath that silent sky, the protagonist sat cross-legged upon a jagged cliff, lightning dancing faintly around his body. His breathing was steady, but his heart was not. The masked man's words echoed again and again. "You carry the blood of the primordial storm god." He had always believed his power came from years of harsh training and fate's tempering. But now he faced a truth older than memory itself. His lightning was not merely power. It was inheritance. It was a curse. Cloud Scene 1, Inner Turmoil. As the wind howled, he closed his eyes, diving into his inner world, his spirit sea. There, above a vast ocean of swirling chi, floated a single lightning sphere, the Thunder Soul Core. But now it pulsed with streaks of crimson, threads of corruption slowly weaving through its once pure blue radiance. The moment he saw it, agony struck. His mind flashed with fragmented visions. A giant figure wreathed in storms, roaring at the heavens. Mountains shattering under divine lightning. Crimson chains wrapping around the god's heart. Then darkness. He gasped, opening his eyes, sweat dripping down his face. The corruption wasn't just energy. It was a will, ancient and sentient. And it was waking up. Cross Scene 2, the ancient guardian appears. Suddenly, a voice rumbled from the void within his consciousness. "At last, my descendant remembers." The spirit sea erupted in waves. A massive silhouette emerged, a being of thunder and storm, wearing armor forged from clouds and eyes glowing like suns. The protagonist froze. "Who are you?" "I am Raiden Shenkai, the storm god bound by heaven's wrath. You carry what remains of my divine spark." Lightning flared, and the very world inside him trembled. "But hear me, child, your power is incomplete. What you wield is merely a fraction. The rest lies sealed by the blood moon curse." The protagonist gritted his teeth. "Then tell me how to break it." The god's eyes narrowed, solemn. "To control thunder is easy. To master divine will is not. Your lightning is alive. It feels your rage, your fear, your doubt. Conquer yourself and the storm obeys." The image of the god flickered, fading back into the light. "Seek the valley of roaring skis. There lies the first seal. Awaken it and the heavens will kneel." With that, the vision shattered. Tornado Scene 3. The journey begins. Morning broke. The sky still carried faint red stains from the blood moon's retreat. The protagonist stood at the cliff's edge, his robe fluttering as sunlight cut through the mist. His expression had changed, no longer confusion, but fierce determination. Below, his companions gathered. Lion Yue, the healer, gentle yet resolute, her eyes reflecting quiet concern. Kai Ren, his closest friend, a fiery cultivator of flame chi who had fought beside him since their novice days. Elder Tiangshuan, leaning on his staff, his once dominant aura now dimmed, but his wisdom still sharp. "You intend to go after that place?" the elder asked gravely. "Yes," the protagonist replied. "If the Blood Moon sect wants to use my power, I'll awaken it before they can." Kai Ren smirked. "Then I'm coming too. Someone's got to stop you from getting yourself killed." Lion Yue smiled softly. "And someone must heal him when he inevitably does." For a moment, warmth touched the air, but it didn't last long. Cloud Scene 4. The blood moon moves again. Far away, deep beneath a mountain drenched in crimson mist, the masked man knelt before a throne made of bone and blood. On it sat a figure shrouded entirely in darkness. His voice was a whisper of thunder drowned in blood. "The air has awakened." The masked man bowed deeply. "Yes, Lord Blood Sovereign, he possesses the lightning seed." The figure's lips curved into a cruel smile. "Good, let him grow stronger. The more his divine blood awakens, the easier it will be for us to take it." The chamber filled with laughter that cracked through the darkness like breaking glass. High voltage scene 5, the awakening of the storm. Back atop the mountain, as his friends prepared supplies, the protagonist gazed up at the sky once more. He clenched his fist, letting arcs of blue lightning crawl across his skin. The power hummed, answering his emotions like a living beast. "You once belonged to the heavens," he murmured. "Now you belong to me." A thunderclap echoed across the mountains, as if the heavens themselves answered his vow. And so the journey began. Toward the valley of roaring skies. Toward the first seal. Toward his destiny as the heir of thunder. High voltage end of chapter 33. The heir of thunder awakens high voltage. High voltage chapter 34, Valley of Roaring Skies. The world stretched vast and alive before them as the dawn painted the horizon in gold and storm gray. Mountains rose like ancient titans, and thunder rolled in the distance, faint, rhythmic, like the heartbeats of the heavens themselves. It had taken 3 days of relentless travel through rain-soaked forests and jagged ridges for the group to reach the edge of the Valley of Roaring Skies, a forbidden place said to be where the sky itself screamed. The valley was a land of eternal storms. Lightning struck constantly, splitting the earth. Thunderclouds churned low enough to touch, and rivers of wind carved the land into sharp, broken canyons. Even standing at its edge made their chi tremble. High voltage scene 1, the forbidden threshold. Elder Tiangshuan raised his hand, forming a protective seal of azure light. "This place isn't meant for mortals," he warned, his old voice heavy with caution. "Every bolt of lightning here carries the wrath of the heavens. Even a slight mistake can erase your soul." The protagonist stepped forward, his eyes glowing faintly with crackling blue light. "Then I'll listen carefully to what the heavens are trying to say." His words made even the elder pause, not from arrogance, but from conviction. He wasn't defying the heavens. He was ready to converse with them. The group stepped inside. The moment their feet crossed the threshold, the air grew dense. Their spiritual senses blurred, and the roar of thunder became deafening. The sky itself felt alive. Cloud scene 2, the guardian of the valley. As they reached the valley's heart, a massive formation revealed itself. 12 monoliths arranged in a circle, each carved with ancient runes of the storm god. Before they could approach, the ground trembled. From within the storm emerged a colossal beast, a skybreaker rock, feathers made of wind and lightning, eyes burning like suns. "Intruders," it screeched, voice booming like thunder. "None may trespass upon the sacred grounds of Raiden Shenkai." Kai Ren gripped his flaming spear. "Great! A flying mountain wants to kill us." Lion Yue spread her healing aura, protecting the group from the pressure. "It's Qi! It's pure thunder essence. It's testing us." The protagonist stepped forward alone. "Then let it test me." The rock roared, summoning a tornado laced with lightning. He met it head-on, lightning chi surging from his core like a tidal wave. Their energies collided, blue and gold intertwining in a blinding explosion. For a moment, time stood still. Then the rock's voice echoed in his mind. "Your lightning. It carries the scent of the Ancient One." The storm beast bowed slightly, folding its wings. "Then you may proceed, heir of storms. But beware, the trials ahead do not show mercy." The clouds parted slightly, revealing a staircase of floating stones leading deep into the heart of the tempest. Cross scene 3, the trial of Thunder's heart. The first step felt like walking into the core of a thunderstorm. Lightning didn't strike around him, it struck through him. Every flash burned his veins, but with each bolt, his chi grew denser, more refined. He was not resisting the storm, he was learning to become part of it. In his mind, the voice of Raiden Shenkai whispered again. Do not fight thunder, feel it, command it, become it. He let go of his fear. He let the lightning tear through him, body and soul. Behind him, Lion Yue and Kai Ren watched in awe. His body glowed, first blue, then white, then golden. The heavens responded. Milky Way Scene 4, the Seal Awakens. At the summit of the staircase, he found it. A colossal stone altar carved with storm runes. At its center, a crystal heart pulsed with endless lightning, the first divine seal of the storm god. As he approached, the ground split open. Crimson lightning erupted, demonic energy tainted with the blood moon's curse. From the fissure emerged a twisted humanoid figure, half man, half lightning. Its body flickered with unstable chi, its voice hollow. You cannot have it. The blood moon claims all divine inheritance. The battle was instant and brutal. Every strike shattered boulders, every clash split the clouds. Lightning met lightning, thunder roared like dragons, and the sky turned white with energy. But in the midst of it, the protagonist's heart was calm. He gathered all the storm chi in his body, channeling it through his thunder soul core. Divine art, heaven-piercing thunder domain. The entire valley exploded in light. The corrupted guardian screamed as divine lightning erased it completely, purifying the taint. High voltage Scene 5, the Awakening. When the light faded, silence fell. The crystal heart floated toward him, merging into his chest. His entire body shone with golden lightning. His spiritual sea expanded 100-fold. The corruption in his thunder core burned away. First seal, awakened. He felt it. The echo of the storm gods will now fully alive within him. For the first time, he could sense the rhythm of the heavens. Kai Ren whistled softly. Remind me never to spar with you again. Lion Yue smiled faintly, though her eyes shimmered with pride and worry. You touched something divine. Elder Tiangshuan nodded gravely. And that means your path will only grow more dangerous. Lightning danced along his fingers as he gazed toward the far horizon. Let it come, he said softly. The blood moon won't hide for long. Above, the sky cleared for the first time in centuries. But deep within the clouds, an eye of crimson light briefly opened, watching. High voltage end of chapter 34, Valley of Roaring Skis, high voltage. High voltage chapter 35, the blood moon's countermove. The Valley of Roaring Skis had finally fallen silent. The storm clouds that once roared like dragons now drifted peacefully above, their thunder replaced by stillness. The world seemed to be holding its breath, aware that something monumental had changed. Lightning lingered faintly in the air, forming runes of light around the protagonist as he stood at the altar's center. His body was still trembling from the awakening of the first divine seal, the power of the storm god's heart coursing through his veins like molten gold. He could feel everything now. The movement of the clouds, the hum of the earth beneath, the faint echo of distant thunder, and something else. Something dark, vast, and watching. New Moon Scene 1, whispers in the sky. As the group made their way down the mountain, the protagonist suddenly froze. Stop, he murmured. Kai Ren frowned. What's wrong? He turned his gaze upward. The once clear sky had begun to twist again, thin lines of crimson light bleeding across the clouds like veins. Lion Yue gasped softly. That aura, the blood moon sect. Before anyone could react, the clouds cracked open, spilling red lightning into the valley. From the rift descended several figures cloaked in black, each radiating demonic chi thick enough to choke the air. At their center stood the same masked man from before, the one who had called him heir. You awaken the first seal, the man said, his tone half praise, half threat. Good, that saves us the trouble of doing it ourselves. Cross Scene 2, the corrupted clone. The protagonist's eyes narrowed. You again. The masked man's grin deepened beneath his runes. No, not me this time. He raised his hand, and the air twisted. Out of a portal of bloodlight stepped a figure, an exact copy of the protagonist. Same face, same aura, same lightning flickering in the eyes. But its lightning wasn't blue, it was crimson. "Meet your reflection," the masked man whispered. "A perfect clone born from your spiritual residue during the first seal's awakening. Its purpose is to destroy the original." The clone's gaze was emotionless, but its presence burned like a storm gone mad. Kai Ren cursed under his breath. "You're kidding, he made a clone of you." The protagonist exhaled slowly, energy building around him. "Then I'll destroy it before it becomes me." The masked man's laughter echoed across the valley as he and his followers retreated into the mist. "Let us see if the heir can defeat his own shadow." High voltage scene 3, lightning against lightning. The air cracked open as the battle began. Both figures vanished, reappearing midair, lightning colliding in a blinding explosion. Each movement mirrored perfectly. When the protagonist launched a thunder fist, the clone countered with the same strike. When he used lightning step, the clone blurred at identical speed. Even their chi pulses resonated in rhythm, like reflections in rippling water. Lion Yue clenched her hands. He's fighting himself, every move, every instinct. Elder Tiangshuan's eyes darkened. No, he's fighting his inner corruption. The clash escalated. Thunderbolts rained, splitting stone and sky alike. The entire valley trembled as two storms raged within one body's fate. Cloud Scene 4, the breaking point. The clone's strikes began to overwhelm him. Its crimson lightning was wild, untamed, fueled by pure rage. Each blow seemed to whisper, "You're weak. You doubt. You fear what you might become." The words stabbed deeper than blades. For a moment, the protagonist faltered. His knees hit the cracked ground, blood spilling from his lips. The clone raised its hand, gathering a storm so immense that even Kai Ren and Lion Yue couldn't move under the pressure. But then he heard it. A faint voice in his mind. "Conquer yourself, and the storm obeys." The voice of Raiden Shenkai. Cross Scene 5, the true lightning awakens. He closed his eyes. The world around him disappeared, replaced by a vision of endless skis. He saw himself standing atop clouds, thunder swirling around his feet. Within his chest, two forces fought for control, blue and red lightning clashing endlessly. He took a deep breath. And then, instead of fighting, he let them merge. Blue and red twisted together, turning white gold, purer and denser than before. When he opened his eyes again, the sky screamed. Golden lightning erupted from his body, tearing through the crimson clouds. The clone froze as if paralyzed. "You're just my shadow," he said, voice calm and resonant. "And I am the storm that casts it." He thrust his hand forward. Heaven-piercing thunder domain, true form. A sphere of divine lightning engulfed the valley. The crimson clone disintegrated instantly, its last scream fading into the roar of thunder. When the light vanished, only silence remained. Milky Way Scene 6, Aftermath and Omen. The group rushed to him. Lion Yue placed her glowing palms over his chest, healing the burns along his arms. Kai Ren smirked weakly. "You just punched yourself out of existence. Should I be impressed or terrified?" The protagonist managed a faint smile. Maybe both. But deep inside, he knew this wasn't over. As he looked at the fatting crimson mist, he could feel something, like a thread pulling at his soul from afar. A connection. The clone's destruction hadn't erased the corruption entirely. It had only awakened it elsewhere. Far away, in the Blood Moon Sect's forbidden hall, the blood sovereign stirred. His crimson eyes opened fully for the first time. "The air grows stronger," he whispered. "Good, the stronger the vessel, the greater the sacrifice will be." High voltage Scene 7, end. The wind howled once more as the group departed from the valley. Lightning followed them like a loyal beast. The protagonist clenched his fist, feeling the new, golden lightning pulse beneath his skin. He was no longer merely a cultivator of thunder. He was becoming something far more dangerous. The living tempest. And for the first time, The heavens seemed afraid. High voltage, end of chapter 35. The blood moon's countermove, high voltage.